Have you ever had someone in your life who seemed a little too nice, like their smile arrived before their eyes did? What if the real danger isn't the one who openly disagrees with you, but the one who quietly studies your every move? Imagine this: the person who laughs at your jokes, shares your favorite coffee, and compliments your shirt might actually wish you didn't exist. Let's clear something up. The real threat isn't the person throwing side eyes from across the room. It's the one who's friendly, charming, maybe even generous, while secretly wishing you were gone. For good. Sounds like a psychological thriller, right? But often the truth is darker and far more disturbing than fiction. At this very moment, someone in your life might be working against you, and you wouldn't even suspect a thing. Hatred? That's easy to spot, but disguised hostility, wrapped in smiles and small talk, can quietly grow into something far more dangerous. The most chilling part? Most people don't notice until the damage is already done. This isn't about scaring you. It's about opening your eyes to the signs, real, subtle, often missed signals that someone isn't just disliking you. They're trying to remove you completely. These aren't wild guesses or movie plots. They're grounded in psychological behavior patterns. And recognizing them might just protect you or someone you care about. So before we step into the shadows, take a breath. What you're about to learn could change the way you look at friendly forever. Let's begin. Sign number 1, the silent observer, let. You start with one of the most spine-chilling and dangerously overlooked signs that someone in your circle may not just hate you, but once you're gone. I call it the silent observer. Now, don't confuse this with a casual social media lurker or your neighbor who just loves to gossip. This is different. This is intentional, calculated, sinister. These people don't just watch you, they study you. They know your habits, your routines, your vulnerabilities. It's not passive interest. It's strategic observation, like reconnaissance, military style. They learn your schedule down to the minute. They know where you go, what time you show up, even how you take your coffee, without ever asking. It's unsettling. You might notice them at your local park, or suddenly bump into them at the gym, the grocery store, always at just the right time. Too perfect to be a coincidence. Too frequent to ignore. And here's the disturbing part. They do it so subtly, so invisibly, that by the time you realize what's happening, they already know too much. Sometimes what looks like coincidence is anything but. In the last part, we uncovered the unsettling truth behind the silent observer, the one who watches quietly, blends in seamlessly, and knows far more than they should. Now let's go deeper into how this behavior operates in the shadows and why it's so dangerous. At first, it feels random, a face in the crowd, a chance encounter, but then it happens again and again, and eventually the pattern becomes too precise to ignore. The real danger lies in how our minds are trained to brush it off. We're told not to overthink things, to stop being dramatic. But predators, yes, predators thrive on exactly that kind of hesitation. They weaponize your self-doubt. There's one story that sticks with me. Christine, a mid-level manager in her 30s, had broken up with her boyfriend months earlier. When she began spotting him at familiar places, her favorite cafe, the park near her apartment, she assumed he was just having a hard time letting go. Harmless, right? But things didn't add up. He wasn't just showing up, he was anticipating her moves. When she switched gyms, he appeared there too. When she altered her route to work or changed grocery stores, he somehow kept reappearing, always calm, always silent. No confrontation, just presence. And that silence? It screamed louder than words ever could. Her friends downplayed it. They called it obsession, maybe even nostalgia. But Christine began to see it for what it really was, premeditation. This wasn't about closure. It was about control, the kind that plans, waits, watches. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus cautioned against assuming things are harmless just because they look that way. Appearances deceive, and the cost of ignoring them can be high. Epictetus taught that true. Wisdom means being alert, not only to others, but to the disruption of your own peace. When something or someone throws off your internal sense of order, it's not the time to rationalize, it's time to investigate. Because in today's hyper-connected world, stalking doesn't require binoculars or a van parked outside your window. It just takes a scroll through your social feed, a mutual friend, or a routine you didn't think to protect. And the most dangerous people? They don't rage, they don't scream, they smile, they nod. They blend in while keeping mental tabs on every move you make. This isn't about panic. It's about discernment. The Stoics believed that clarity begins with observation and ends with decisive, grounded action. So if someone keeps turning up in your life without a clear reason, and especially without an invitation, don't write it off as fate. Don't let politeness cloud your judgment. That's not coincidence. That's a warning sign. Pay attention. Patterns matter. Coincidences deserve questions. And now, let's look at the second red flag, one that hides behind laughter, praise, and false praise. Ready for the next sign? Previously, we explored how quiet observation can hide deeply dangerous intent. But sometimes the threat doesn't come from someone watching you. It comes from someone slowly turning the world against you. So, here's the truth. Listen to your instincts. That uneasy feeling in your gut? That's not anxiety. It's awareness. When your inner voice tells you something's off, don't silence it. Don't chalk it up to overthinking. Your discomfort is often your first and only warning, because the most dangerous people aren't always the ones who scream or confront. You head on. Sometimes they're the ones who move in silence, learning your weaknesses, biding their time until your guard drops. Sign number 2. The saboteur strategy. Here's a deeply unsettling fact. Studies in social psychology have shown that when someone hears a lie about another person, even if that lie is later debunked, it still leaves a stain. The false impression lingers. That's the raw power of suggestion, and that's exactly what makes the saboteur strategy so terrifying. This kind of attack goes far beyond revenge. It's not just about hurting you, it's about isolating you, making sure you're alone when you fall. The goal is not just damage, it's destruction of your foundation. This isn't your average rumor mill. This is deliberate, malicious, and carefully timed. A quiet campaign of character assassination that plays out in whispers and nods. They don't shout accusations. That would make them too easy to spot. Instead, they plant doubts, just enough to make others wonder. To your boss, they might subtly suggest you've become unreliable. To your friends, they'll imply you've changed, maybe even become a little toxic. And because it's all so subtle, so carefully spread out over time, the big picture gets lost. Each incident seems small, harmless, unrelated. Even you may start to question if something's wrong with you. You ask yourself, why is everything falling apart at once? That confusion, that fragmentation is exactly the point. These saboteurs don't act on impulse. They operate with cold precision. They orchestrate misunderstandings behind closed doors. They manipulate circumstances to make you look unstable, reckless, untrustworthy. All the while they play innocent. Some even pretend to be allies, the ones worried about you. But in reality, they're pulling strings in the background, slowly unraveling the trust others once had in you. This isn't chaos. It's calculated betrayal. Now that you've seen how some people destroy your reputation from the inside out, it's time to look at the third warning sign, one that hides behind praise. Let's keep going. The next one is subtle, but incredibly dangerous. Previously, we explored how a saboteur doesn't just attack your reputation, they isolate you. They slowly cut you off from your emotional lifelines, leaving you defenseless when the final blow lands. Now, let's take a closer look at why this tactic is especially dangerous through a Stoic lens. Their aim isn't just to ruin your image, it's to leave you alone when it matters most. Alone in the spotlight, alone in the chaos, alone when you're most vulnerable. That isolation isn't random, it's calculated, and from a Stoic perspective, it's particularly insidious. Why? Because it attacks the very foundation that Stoicism urges us to build, inner strength rooted in clarity and reason. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, obstacles are meant to help us grow stronger, but a saboteur doesn't offer you a challenge to rise above. They create a toxic fog, murky, emotional, manipulative, that clouds your path forward. And if you're not grounded, not alert, that fog starts to seep into your mind. You find yourself reacting instead of reflecting. You get drawn into petty arguments, drama you never asked for. You try to explain yourself, defend your actions, clear your name, only to realize that the more you explain, the more guilty you appear. It's a trap. That's why your first line of defense is awareness, not panic, not overreaction, just sharp, intentional awareness. Don't waste your energy chasing every rumor. Anchor yourself in truth, not emotion. Preserve your character, but also protect yourself with strategy. Keep records, save emails, note timelines. Guard your peace the way a general guards a fortress. And above all, trust in time. Both Stoic wisdom and spiritual teachings agree. True character isn't proven in noise. It's revealed in silence over time. While people may be misled for a while, the truth, like the soul, has a way of surviving the storm. So, if you notice someone hovering around your conflicts, always near, always aware, but never quite involved, that's not coincidence. That's manipulation. You're not just dealing with a toxic person. You're up against a strategist of chaos, and the only way to win that game is to not play it. Sign number 3, the false friend facade. Now we step into even darker territory. This next sign might be the most deceptive of all. The third indication that someone doesn't just dislike you, they may be actively planning your downfall, is the false friend facade. It's one of humanity's oldest deceptions, and to this day, it remains one of the hardest to detect. Why? Because we've been taught since childhood that kindness equals goodness, that warm smiles, shared coffee, and gentle support are signs of trust and loyalty. But when someone who was once a distant acquaintance suddenly becomes very invested in your life, without any history or emotional foundation to explain it, it's not always a blessing, it's a signal. Coming up next, we'll expose how false friends use closeness as a weapon and how to spot the cracks before it's too late. Ready for sign number 4? Let's continue. In the last section, we uncovered one of the most deceptive threats, the false friend facade, a person who wears warmth like a costume while hiding calculated intentions underneath. Now let's look deeper into how these individuals infiltrate your world, not to connect, but to control. These people aren't trying to earn your trust. They're working to gain access. What looks like concern is often a well-rehearsed performance. It feels sincere. It feels personal. But it's all part of a plan. They begin with curiosity, asking questions that seem caring at first. They want to know your daily routine, your relationships, your fears, even the painful moments from your past. But don't be fooled. They're not asking to understand. They're asking to collect. They slowly insert themselves into every corner of your life, getting close to your family, becoming a regular face around your workplace, volunteering to help with errands, favors, even personal tasks. On the surface, it all seems generous, but underneath, it's surveillance. Every shared story becomes leverage. Every private detail becomes a vulnerability waiting to be used. What makes this tactic especially dangerous is how good it feels at first. Someone finally sees you. They listen. They care. Or at least they seem to. But behind the kind smile and empathetic tone is a sharp, strategic mind, mapping your world like a tactician planning a siege. They're not building a friendship. They're designing an access route, a direct path to your softest, most exposed parts. From a Stoic perspective, this is particularly disturbing. Seneca once said, "A friend is someone you trust with your soul." But he also warned, trust must be earned, not handed over to anyone simply because they smile or offer sympathy. The Stoics taught the value of discernment, what they called sophrosyne, or wise moderation. Emotional safety begins with that inner filter. If someone's interest in you feels too intense, too sudden, or too personal, pause. Ask yourself, what are they really after? It's easy to confuse familiarity with genuine friendship, but those with hidden agendas know that too well. They'll mirror your words, reflect your emotions. They may even share intimate details of their own, just enough to make you feel safe, to make you open up more. All the while, they're recording everything, like a spy compiling a psychological profile. And because they wrap it all in charm, empathy, and attention, no one suspects a thing. Not your friends, not your family, not even you. Until it's too late. So, what should you do? Slow it down. Guard your privacy the way you'd guard your peace, because truly, they're one and the same. Ask yourself, why does this person suddenly want access to the parts of my life they never cared about before? And now, let's move into the fourth sign, where silence isn't golden. It's a warning. Ready for what comes next? Let's keep going. In the last part, we saw how false friends don't build trust. They collect access. They use charm as camouflage, not connection. Now we shift into even darker territory, because sometimes the danger doesn't arrive in silence. It grows louder, one step at a time. Real friendship grows slowly, like a tree taking root, but sabotage, it moves fast. It rushes in because its goal isn't to grow, it's to strike. And trust? It's not just about who makes you feel safe in the moment, it's about who keeps you safe when you're not looking. The false friend doesn't just want loyalty, they want leverage. And once they gather enough of your secrets, your fears, and your habits, they'll know exactly where to hit you hardest. So yes, be kind, be warm, but above all, be wise. Because when malice wears a friendly face, it isn't friendship, it's a disguise. Sign number 4, escalating aggression. This next warning sign is one of the most disturbing, and yet it's often ignored until it's too late. I call it calculated escalation. Here's how it works. Someone who holds deep resentment or dangerous intent usually doesn't start with overt violence. They test you first. They push the limits little by little, like a scientist experimenting with your reactions. At first, it's subtle, an offhand joke with a sharp edge, a so-called funny comment like, "I could kill you right now," followed by a smirk or laugh. You're told it's just dark humor, just sarcasm. But don't be fooled, these are not harmless quips. They're probes, designed to see what you'll tolerate, designed to measure your fear. Let me share a chilling, real-world example. In 2016, a young woman named Leah had just moved into a new apartment complex, excited to begin her first job after college. That's where she met Adam, a neighbor who at first came across as socially awkward, but kind enough. Over time, Adam started appearing more often. He'd offer to carry groceries, ride the elevator with her, ask unusually detailed questions about her daily schedule. At a community cookout, he made a strange comment, odd but delivered with a smile. He joked that he'd make the perfect killer because he knew how to dispose of evidence. People chuckled awkwardly. Leah felt uneasy, but brushed it off. After all, he was probably just being weird, right? But something changed. Adam began getting closer, physically closer, too close. He'd show up in the hallway just as she was leaving for work. He'd brush past her shoulder without saying a word. One time, he stood in front of her apartment, door blocking it, offering no reason, no apology. What started as awkward friendliness was turning into something invasive, something menacing. And it would only get worse from there. Coming up next, we'll finish Leah's story and uncover the final sign. It's the most terrifying of all, because by the time you see it clearly, it may already be too late. In the last section, we saw how subtle acts of aggression can escalate into something dangerous. What started as awkward proximity became increasingly invasive. But what happened next in Leah's story pulled the mask off completely and revealed just how calculated true predators can be. One day, under the pretense of needing to talk, Adam blocked her apartment door. No argument, no yelling, just silent pressure. But then something chilling happened, something that changed everything. One evening, Leah returned home to find a hunting knife carefully placed on her doormat. No note, no explanation, just the weapon. Authorities initially brushed it off as a prank, maybe a cruel joke, but Leah knew better. Her instincts screamed louder than reason. She installed a security camera, changed her locks, and began meticulously documenting every single interaction. Just weeks later, her worst fear was confirmed. At around 2 a.m., her camera captured footage of Adam outside her door. He was wearing gloves and carrying what looked like a black duffel bag. He was trying to pick the lock. He was arrested shortly after. What investigators found was beyond disturbing: a journal. Inside, pages filled with notes about Leah's daily routines, her favorite spots, and a chilling section labeled "Execution Window." This is the horrifying truth about certain violent individuals. They don't start with rage. They start with rehearsals, jokes that feel slightly off, an accidental touch, a laugh that lingers a little too long after something disturbing is said. These aren't random behaviors. They're calculated steps in a psychological playbook designed to lower your guard. The Stoics warned us about this kind of threat, not out of paranoia, but out of clarity. Seneca wrote, "He who is forewarned is forearmed," meaning awareness is your best protection. So if someone in your life constantly crosses the line and then laughs it off, if their jokes carry a sharp undercurrent of threat, if they test your boundaries physically or emotionally, or seem more interested in your reaction than your connection, that is not just odd behavior. That is a warning, and ignoring it could cost far more than your comfort. It could cost your safety, your life. Sign number 5, the patient predator. Now we come to the final and perhaps most chilling sign, the patient predator. This isn't someone who explodes in anger or leaves threatening messages. No. This is the coldest kind of adversary, the kind that hides behind silence and time. Their weapon isn't rage, it's restraint. They don't want to fight. They don't seek revenge in the heat of the moment. They wait. They plan. They play what Stoic philosophers would call the long game, where every move is rehearsed, every decision calculated, and every step timed to near perfection. In the next section, we'll reveal how these predators operate in plain sight, and what Stoic wisdom teaches us about seeing the unseen before it's too late. Ready for the final part? In the last part, we met the most chilling figure of all, the patient predator. Someone who doesn't just wait for an opportunity, but creates the perfect moment through silence, consistency, and control. And now, we see how deep their deception can go. These people can wait months, sometimes years, watching, calculating, waiting for the exact moment when you're most vulnerable, when your defenses are down, your routine is off, or your life feels too peaceful to be cautious. What makes them terrifying isn't what they do in the moment of action. It's how normal they seem leading up to it. They don't raise suspicion. They raise your trust. They ask about your travel plans, not out of curiosity, but strategy. They offer to help you move, water your plants, walk your dog. But behind every kind act is a quiet agenda. Every question they ask, every favor they offer, every connection they strengthen, it's all part of building a false sense of security. They might be your reliable coworker, your friendly neighbor, that thoughtful friend who always remembers your birthday, even when your family forgets. But underneath that calm, generous exterior is someone rehearsing betrayal with terrifying precision. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, warned us that the greatest danger isn't always what we see. It's what we assume is safe while we look away. First, say to yourself what you would be, he wrote, and then do what you have to do. But when you're dealing with someone who wears a flawless mask, every part of what you see has been designed to mislead you. Their life is a performance. Their kindness is bait. And the scariest part? They rarely make mistakes. They don't rush. They don't slip up. Instead, they wait for your mistake, for the day your schedule shifts, for the night you leave your window unlocked, for the one time you forget to check in with a friend, and when that moment comes, they strike. And because you trusted them, you never saw it coming. So what can you do? Be cautious with deep trust, especially when someone seems to rush intimacy without history. Guard your plans. Keep boundaries sacred. You can still be warm, still be kind, but don't confuse kindness with unguarded access. The Stoic within you must remain alert, even in moments of stillness, especially when everything seems just fine. Because when nothing seems wrong, that's often when danger is closest. Now, let's be completely honest. If any of these 5 signs brought someone specific to mind, don't dismiss it. Don't gaslight yourself into thinking you're just being dramatic, because if you've seen the silent observer, the saboteur, the false friend, the escalating aggressor, or the patient predator, then what you're facing isn't just discomfort. It's not just negativity, it's something far more serious. In the last section, we exposed the most chilling truth of all, that someone close to you could be hiding long-term, calculated intent. If even a part of you felt a name surface in your mind, don't dismiss it. You're not imagining things. You're standing at the edge of something potentially much darker than discomfort, something designed to go unnoticed until it's far too late. Before we wrap up, do 2 important things. First, save this video, bookmark it, because there will come a day when your instincts whisper again, quietly but persistently, and when they do, you'll want to return to these 5 signs with fresh eyes. Second, watch the next video on identifying covert narcissists. Why? Because these 5 deadly tactics? They often go hand in hand with the subtle cruelty of manipulative personality types. Different faces, same blueprint. Remember this: knowledge is your first shield, but action is your real armor. Awareness alone won't save you. It's what you do with that awareness that draws the line between becoming a target or walking away with your peace intact. Stay sharp, stay guarded, and most importantly, stay alive. Because let's be real, if your gut has been whispering that something isn't quite right, then this video may have just confirmed what you didn't want to hear, but needed to know. These 5 signs, they're not about stirring drama. They're about detecting danger. Because someone who merely dislikes you will roll their eyes or avoid you. But someone who wants you gone, they observe you in silence. They sabotage behind smiles. They build false friendships. They test your limits, then escalate. And finally, they wait. That's not petty. That's predatory. So, if a particular nice face came to mind while watching this, don't brush that off. Instincts exist for a reason. They've kept human beings alive far longer than logic alone. As the old saying goes, the devil doesn't come dressed in horns, he comes wrapped in everything you ever wanted to trust. So here's what to do right now. Share this video with someone you care about, someone who might be ignoring the warning signs because they don't want to believe what their gut already knows. Because your awareness could protect you, and your action could save them. Stay sharp, stay safe, and never forget, it's not paranoia. If they're actually planning your downfall, trust wisely. And I'll see you in the next one.